So I just went through these boxes. These are the boxes that came back from our last sort through. Went through and pulled out any good honey frames. There were a number of them that were really nice honey pollen combination with a little brood center open. I've got bees that are hungry. Today is the 9th of February. Typically the deadline for getting bees in the almonds is the 10th of February. So I'm not sure ours are going to go. I'm getting more and more concerned all the time that they're not going to make the trip, and they're going downhill all the time. It's the bummer that this year, middle of January, I had a lot of hives in great shape ready to go, but they've continued downhill. They're running low on feed. Had they went a month ago to California, they would have been fed. So you know, I held off on kind of trying to do some emergency feeding, because if you're pouring sugar on top of them, it makes it a major pain when you get them down there, that all this crap's in the way to get to the feeders. So I've kind of held off, and now we're going to have a day that it's 54 or so. It's the warmest we're going to get for a while. So I'm going to run over. I know some of my bigger ones that are starting to shrink because they've consumed all their food. Some of them were 18 frames of bees in a double deep a month ago. So you would expect they're running out of food. Perfect timing if they'd have went south and got to get food. So anyway, we'll go out and do what we can and see how many of them we can salvage and get together, and maybe they'll still go, but boy, it's sure getting late in the season. So we'll get some footage out there if I can. Well, I made it here to the yard. Bees are flying. That's great. They need to be out. So I need to get through here and check them. The last time we were through, we wrote down what we had for frames in them on the box lids. And I'm more concerned with this adding honey to them, that I get honey in my big boxes. I will check the smaller ones, but most of them should have honey. I may need to rearrange it a little bit, get it closer to them, but it's the big ones that have been consuming all their food, and that I want to make sure are ready to go into production and grow even bigger coming into spring. I need to split nukes off of them, especially if my bees aren't going to California to grow, and they're not going to make me any money down there. The only money I'm going to get is selling nukes. So I need to have them strong so I can split them. Typically they'd be stronger coming back from California than they're going to be sitting here. But we'll see what we can do with them. If I can get this tripod to stand up. So this was a big one. Well, I guess I need to run and grab my smoker. But they're bringing in some pollen. These girls are coming in through a crack in the box. They've consumed their pollen patty well, which most of the bigger ones did. And this is a nice box of bees. But again, I want to check weight on it, and I'm going to guess that it's pretty light. Yeah, it's really light up here in the top. And typically they'll eat the bottom first and work their way up to the top where it stays warmer. So I'm going to assume the bottom is also empty. This very outside frame still has some honey on it on one side. Lots of pollen coming in. That's a good sign for growth. I know, girls. I know. I get it. In the wintertime, this darn propolis is so stuck and brittle. Makes it hard to bust them apart without shaking everything up. Our oxalic acid pads are dried up. I just ordered stuff to do more of those. Oh, this one's still got some weight to it. These girls are doing okay. We've got some food. That one got me through my glove. Good job, sweetheart. Yeah, they've actually got quite a bit more than I would have thought they had. Frames are getting low. The honey's to the outside. We'll see here what we got in the middle. And there's the problem. They start putting brood on the real empty ones in the middle. So they're brooding up. And that's what I need them doing. I'll go ahead and mark these girls as okay on their honey supply. Now on some of these I know I've got really light ones where most all the top box is empty of honey, so those are the ones I'll be putting them into. So we'll get these girls closed back up so they can get back to work. Alright, I'll shut you guys off and look around. When I find one I can replace some in, I'll let you know. So I've had a number of these that were in fine shape. They had a good number of bees and they had food left. Some other ones with a good number of bees that had no food left. Some of them with smaller numbers of bees with no food. And this was one of them. They were all at this end and there was not a frame down here that had a stitch of food on it. So I'm going to put in some good honey frames, and this is not a lot of bees in here, so 3 of these frames with some food on them is going to get them for quite a ways. So some other ones that were real strong got solid frames of capped honey. Now some of these girls aren't touching their pollen patties at all, which is surprising because there's lots of sugar in it. And other ones have completely consumed them. So I'm trying to keep notes of that, of everything I'm doing here, which ones I put how many frames of honey in, which ones need pollen sub, and which ones were fine, that were in great shape. Just more data. So anyway, that's what today's been.